Miss Marie, you attended Florida A&M University, College of Agriculture and Food Sciences, and you earned your master's degree.
Yes.
Okay, now you're an economist with the USDA.
Yes.
All right. So first of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
So can you clarify exactly what an agricultural economist does and why you chose to pursue that career?
Right. So in essence, an agricultural economist studies economics and social phenomena and how that impacts the world and agriculture on a whole. Now, I'm an agricultural economist for the Foreign Agricultural Service at the USDA, and in my division what we do is we conduct in-depth analysis of policies and how that impact U.S. agricultural foods, agricultural and related products, and agricultural businesses. So that entails anywhere from analyzing market data trends to supply and demand to pricing and competitors' commodity prices more specifically, and how that all impacts U.S. agricultural export prospects.
Okay, very interesting. Sounds very complex. But how does it impact the average person living in America?
It absolutely does. So I like to think of what we do as background, behind the scenes work at best. So most of the trade policies or regulations that you may be aware of today or are hearing of on a whole, we provide the analysis behind that to develop and enhance those policies, which really pretty much impacts all of our lives essentially.
Right. Okay, excellent. So it seems like you guys have a lot of information you have to be abreast of, aware of. How do you stay aware? Do you do a lot of reading, and if so, what type of publications, magazines, websites to stay abreast?
It's so important to keep abreast of market trends. Very, very important, especially in my work and what I do. We receive publications from different market databases. Me personally, I like reading the Wall Street Journal. I like looking at the news a lot. I call myself a news junkie, which is so ironic because growing up, my dad, he's a very intelligent man, and he always kept abreast of international policies and the news. And we used to be like, well, why? That's so. No, I was a child, so it just was not interesting to me. And I find myself like him now. So it's very, very essential to my career to keep up to date on.
Right. It's ironic how it came full circle.
Yes.
When you're younger.
Oh my goodness, it's.
Okay, so let's talk about how you became an economist at the USDA. Can you talk about your experience? What led to you to get to this point?
At FAMU, I was a part of the Maire Society. So with Manners, they hold different conferences every year. And I attended this one conference, but before attending that, I did my homework. I researched what companies were coming, what agencies for the government were going to be there. And I mean, I knew since my junior year that I wanted to be an economist for the government. So that's what I yearned. Yes, that's what I yearned for. That was my aim. And when I saw that FAS had an opening, that was my shot. And I just really put myself out there. I applied. I spoke with people, and that's how my opportunity came about.
Let me ask you a follow-up question.
Yeah.
How did you know during your junior year that you wanted to be an economist?
Well, my undergrad degree was focused in food and resource economics, which is agricultural economics. So that's kind of where my joy for economics really grew. So,
okay, and that makes sense. Would you consider working for the private sector, or are you planning on staying with the USDA?
Absolutely. I do plan on furthering my career with the USDA. At that time, I really did not consider the private sector. Nothing against the private sector, but I just knew that this is what I wanted, and that's what I yearned for, and that's what I accomplished.
Well, congratulations. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Let's talk about Washington, D.C. That's where you currently live. Can you talk about that wow moment when you realize you're a graduate of FAMU, you have a job with the USDA, and now you're living in Washington?
Yes, that wow moment. I believe it was, I don't want to say my second week of work when I had just moved up there. I'd finally gotten into the groove of things, and everything was just so different. Just coming from Florida and moving to this big city and taking the trains and seeing everyone getting off the trains in their crisp iron suits and their hot coffee and everyone on the hustle and the bustle and moving so quickly. Everything was so new, so different, and that's just when I knew, I'm doing this. Yeah.
Congratulations again. Can you tell us about a lesson that you learned that you would like to share with the other students about your transition from a FAMU student to a federal employee living in Washington?
Yes, absolutely. So while pursuing my graduate career at FAMU, there were an array of classes and student outreach activities which prepared me for life after school. Most importantly, this class that we were required to take as grad students called Colloquium, where we learned about the world and what happens outside of school and how we are able to adapt, and we had different professionals come in and speak to us and so forth. But I think the main thing that I learned while going to FAMU was just take initiative, put myself out there. I made it a point of duty actually in my grad career to put myself out there, relay with professors, get involved, and just always take initiative, because that's how opportunities come to you when you search for it.
Right, you were proactive and it paid off.
Definitely.
You did a wonderful job. Let's transition to your experience at FAMU College of Agriculture and Food Science as a graduate student. Can you talk about the educational component, the courses you took, your relationship with your professors?
Right. So at FAMU, I also served as the student graduate representative, the female student graduate representative.
Okay.
So that too, we had to be pretty much the voice of the grad community, and we held meetings with the higher ups a lot in the college. So that allowed me to learn how to converse, I would say, with people higher than me.
Right.
And just classes such as ag price policies and ag communications as well. Those really helped develop me and really helped develop my leadership skills, which is really necessary for my career today.
What about your relationship with your professors, or the interaction with the professors? Did that help prepare you for where you're at today?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, just always volunteering for different projects and researches with Dr. Solis, Dr. Lorenzo. I'm not sure if they're still at the college today.
Yeah,
they are. Oh, okay. That really serves as a confidence booster as well, and I would encourage students to really.
Right. Let's talk about Manners or other organizations that you were a part of. Can you talk about how that helped shape your perspective and prepared you for work with the USDA?
Right. So I was a mentor of the Big Sister, Little Sister mentoring program here at FAMU. That allowed me to really become a leader. That allowed me to show that I can, represent another student and help another student, help cultivate another student, and what I learned in my professional life to give back to them.
Okay, great. So now you're an economist with the USDA. What do you like best about your job?
Well, as an agricultural economist, our portfolios are very diverse. So we have the opportunity to relay market trends and turn that into policies. And while policy does impact decision making, it's very rewarding to just, see how our in-depth analysis really helps mold and cultivate those decisions.
Very interesting. Follow-up question. Is it time sensitive sometimes when you get these responsibilities? Do you have to turn around and produce results quickly, or? Yes,
most of the times. I mean, a typical day is, this is what we get, this is what you have to do. We need it in like an hour, 30 minutes, chop up. Wow. So yes, the world outside of school it's real.
Very impressive. Do you think FAMU prepared you for your current role with the USDA?
FAMU definitely prepared me for my current role with the USDA. I remember as a grad student, we had what we call a USDA liaison. Her name was Belinda Bell.
Yes. She
would talk to us very often and tell us, this is what you have to expect. And this is what I really encourage all the students to do, is to, if you do have a USDA liaison or any representative period from the private or the public sector, talk to them. Let them tell you what you should expect, and just really relay those messages.
What advice would you give a high school student or a freshman in college that's interested in a degree in the agricultural field?
I would tell them to do your research. Don't just think, hey, this sounds interesting, this sounds, easy, which it's not. This sounds easy. Definitely do your research, talk to people. Make it your point of duty to attend career fairs or job shadowing vacancies or anything like that. That really helps.
Okay. A lot of people, a lot of students, a lot of young people have a misconception as it pertains to agriculture. They think it's only farming, they think it's planting, but there's another side to it. And what you're speaking about today is you're an economist, and you're talking about a different side of agriculture. Can you speak to that misconception and tell the youth or the parents or whoever that it's more to agriculture than just crops and farming?
Yeah, absolutely. There's definitely more to agriculture than that. I mean, like I said, we do the background work, so we do the work that actually help the farmers. We take care of the business side, essentially, the policy side. So don't just think, agriculture is going out to a field crop land and just digging dirt and so forth. There is that component, but there's so much more.
So your role is very important because you help the farmers, essentially, with your data, and eventually it becomes policy, and eventually it trickles down, and it should, in theory, help the people who are actually farming.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Absolutely. Even with my agency, we put out reports that even the whole world rely on. The whole world essentially relies on U.S. agricultural data and our exporters and our cooperators and so forth.
Okay. So if you had to do it all over again as a freshman in college, would you still pursue the agricultural field?
I would absolutely pursue the agricultural field, which it's funny that you should ask, because starting off with my undergrad, I actually applied to the general economics field.
Okay.
And then at orientation, I got called into the agricultural economics major.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was just a bit confused and perturbed because I'm like, what happened? And then the advisor told me, hey, that was a mistake on our part, but come here, let me talk to you about agriculture, agricultural economics. And that's kind of how I got started.
And that's a beautiful story.
Yeah.
It was an honest mistake.
Yes,
and
it
look what
was.
it resulted,
And
right?
yeah, so that happened to be one of the greatest educational decisions I made for my life.
Again, congratulations. Would you encourage other students to major in agriculture and possibly work with the USDA moving forward?
I would. I mean, agriculture is important. Food is important. Water is important, right? So I would definitely, serve as that recruiting tool for students to put themselves out there and give agriculture a chance, whether it be ag economics, ag business, plant pathology,
Mm-hmm. And you work in Washington, D.C., like we stated before, but there's other opportunities within the USDA, not just in Washington, correct?
Oh, yes. There are lots of opportunities all over the United States and even abroad with the USDA.
Speaking of that, do you travel much in this role? Is that an important part of your responsibility, traveling?
Well, as an economist with my division, we do what we call international market assessments, where we travel to different countries and assess their trade, their risks, their market barriers, and so forth. And my last assessment was actually last year in Japan, Tokyo, Japan.
Japan?
Yes. So
wow.
Yes, we spoke with cooperators and we really just studied the market and we developed reports on that for our exporters.
Interesting. Very interesting. Follow-up question. Your research, your reports, does it impact Wall Street at all? Or is this strictly agriculture?
Well, Wall Street is the economy on a whole, so I would say
there's
yes.
some type of correlation.
Yeah, there is a correlation. I mean, everything that we do impacts Wall Street. Okay. Pretty much.
Interesting. Ms. Kimberly Marie, it's been a pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming back to Florida A&M and spending a little bit of time with us.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. I love what you guys are doing with the alumni. It's going to go a long way.
Thank you. My name is Dr. Davis. Thank you for watching Land Grant Today. I'll see you next week.